Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to walk you through a demonstration of how to show allocative efficiency, and we're going to do it through marginal cost, marginal benefit analysis. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is identify marginal cost and marginal benefit on our graph. What we have here is we have a classic supply and demand model. But what we know is that our supply curve is the willingness and ability of a supplier to supply a product at a series of prices. The reason that they're willing and able to supply those products at that price is that what they are willing and able to do is based on the marginal cost of production. So in essence, if it costs them $5 to produce a unit, they'd be willing and able to sell that for $5. So the cost of producing the last unit is what they'd be willing and able to sell it for. So our supply curve actually functions as our marginal cost curve. Another way to think about marginal cost, which will help us in this particular exercise here, is marginal cost also can be viewed as the value of society's lost resources from producing one more unit. Okay? So keep that in mind, that we can also think of marginal cost as the value of society's lost resources from producing one more unit. Now, that brings us to the other side of the equation, marginal benefit. And marginal benefit is the additional happiness that is generated to the consumer or to society by consuming one more unit of a good. And we find that on the demand curve. One way we can measure the benefit of the things that we have or the things that we want is through pricing. If we're willing to give up a certain amount of money to get it, we assume it's going to give us that much benefit in return at a minimum. So our demand curve is an example of our marginal benefit. So, what does that tell us? All right, well, let's do some actual analysis, okay? So, let's just pick a random quantity over here on the left, and we'll call it Q1, okay? So, what can we identify at Q1? Well, at Q1, right here, is where I hit my marginal cost curve, okay? So what that means is at Q1, it costs that much to make that product to the consumer, or to the producer, excuse me. And right here at Q1 is where I hit my marginal benefit curve, okay? So we could call that P1 for the supplier. And right here would be P1 for the demander, okay? So right here we have a product that is creating this much benefit while only costing society this many resources. And so we can say in this particular case that the benefit of consuming that product far exceeds the cost to society, which means that society would really like more of that thing. If we are having this much benefit and it's only costing us this much, let's go ahead and do it. Let's do more of that thing, okay? So what we could say is at Q1, what do we know is true? Marginal benefit exceeds marginal cost. Therefore, society wants more, which means we are under allocated. All right? So, let's take another look. Let's pick another point. Take a look at this quantity right here. We'll call it Q2. All right? And so, just like we did last time, we're going to identify at Q2, here's where I hit the marginal cost curve, and at Q2, here is where I hit the marginal benefit curve, all right? And this is why I pointed out that language to you earlier. in essence, what we're saying is at Q2, the value of resources lost to society is here. So this is P2 for the supplier, okay? And here's P2 for the demanders, all right? And what we can see very clearly is that we are using up a significant amount of society's resources, but we're not creating that much happiness, all right? If it makes you feel more comfortable with numbers to it, let's put a couple numbers to it, all right? Let's say that we used up $10 worth of society's resources and only created $3 worth of societal benefit. Well, that doesn't make us happy at all, does it? Clearly, we would like to do less of whatever that thing is because it's not making us as happy as we want it to. We're using too many of our resources to create not enough happiness. So what can we say? At Q2, marginal cost exceeds marginal benefit. What that means is we're using up too many of society's resources for not enough happiness. Another way to put that is that we are over-allocated. All right? Okay. So now, let's take a look at how we can show allocative efficiency. This is a good practice that you can get into where you can show what something isn't in order to show what it is, okay? So we have shown two places that are not allocatively efficient. We've explained why they're not allocatively efficient. Let's go ahead and show society's point of allocative efficiency. So our point of allocative efficiency, let's call it QAE, right? And what do we know is happening at QAE? Well, marginal cost and marginal benefit, both exist right there. And what that means is that we are using up some of society's resources, that's our marginal cost, and we are creating some societal happiness, that's our marginal benefit. In this particular case, what we notice is that the cost of society's lost resources is exactly equal to societal benefit. And that is how we know that we have reached allocative efficiency. So at QAE, marginal cost equals marginal benefit, and therefore we are allocated efficiently. Another way you can think about it is we can see pretty clearly that for every unit that we see to the left of our equilibrium, the benefit is going to exceed the cost. We want more. Benefit exceeds cost. We want more. Benefit exceeds cost. We want more. For every unit we see to the right of equilibrium, cost exceeds benefit. We want less. Cost exceeds benefit. We want less. Cost exceeds benefit. We want less. So what we're looking to do in this particular case is collect every unit that we possibly can where benefit exceeds cost and avoid the collection of any unit where cost exceeds benefit. And if we do that perfectly, we get a stop sign. And our stop sign is where marginal cost equals marginal benefit. Thank you.